It makes me cringe when I think about how awful my life used to be when I had tinnitus. The problems it created really made my quality of life nosedive. I went from being a happy-go-lucky guy to being miserable most of the day just daydreaming about being able to have 5 minutes of peace and quiet. For me, my tinnitus started back in college. I remember going home one Friday night after hanging out with my friends when I noticed ringing in my ears for the first time. It was quiet in my apartment, so I thought I was hearing the high-pitched frequency of an electronic device. I did a quick search to see if I could locate the sound, but no matter where I walked, the sound remained the same. After a while, I began to realize that the ringing in my ears was not being caused by anything in my apartment. The sound was coming from inside me. I figured the ringing would go away, and it did that night, but the ringing in my ears began to happen more frequently. But I was always able to attribute it to a noisy event. After a long day at school, the silence of my apartment amplified the ringing in my ears. Then suddenly, one day, I noticed that the ringing wasn't going away. I kept hearing it all day, every day, no matter what I did. I even had trouble falling asleep at night and would play music on the radio to try to drown out the ringing. Each morning when I'd wake up, the ringing sound was still there. Without any relief, it really started to get on my nerves. At work, I found I had trouble concentrating. It was hard to block out the sound and focus on the work I needed to do. I remember going home one evening wondering how long this condition was going to last. Little did I know at the time it was going to last more than 5 years. One day turned into 2 days turned into a week turned into a month. The ringing just would not stop. I began to become depressed and withdrawn. Frankly, it was hard to want to socialize or even be around people. More than anything else, I just wanted the ringing to go away so I could get back to my life the way it used to be. I became pretty desperate, so I tried all sorts of crazy things. I took pills and potions. I tried special devices and treatments. I visited every kind of doctor and specialist under the sun. I even tried a few weird diets. One time I even tried ear candling at the suggestion of one of my friends. That's where you hold a lit hollow candle near your ear and try to draw out the earwax. And guess what? I just about set the couch on fire. For the record, I don't recommend ear candling. Medical research has proven that it is both dangerous and ineffective. But my willingness to try it goes to show just how desperate I was at that time in my life. Now, all of these experiments came at great personal cost to me. I spent thousands of dollars on doctors and drugs. I spent hundreds of hours searching for answers and actually trying out the things the doctors, specialists, and even casual friends told me to do. All this was bad enough, but there was also a huge emotional cost. Because each time I tried to do something new, I would get really excited. I truly believed that this time it was going to work. Unfortunately, nothing seemed to work for me, and each time my hopes were crushed, as I had to face one disappointment after another. At my lowest point, I felt like I was going crazy. I was really depressed and I was getting to the end of my rope. I was willing to try just about anything. Thankfully, it was during that dark time that I discovered a simple 3-step formula that finally gave me my relief. Here's how it happened. When none of the so-called solutions worked for me, I decided to take things into my own hands. I decided my only hope was to continue my experiments on my own terms. Instead of listening to what everybody else was telling me to do, I would do my own research, add some common sense, and conduct my own experiments. And I would document everything along the way so I would know for sure when something worked or not. It took me a couple of years of trial and error to develop the routine I now use to keep my tinnitus from coming back. And just to be clear, my tinnitus is no longer a problem for me. I no longer hear ringing in my ears, even when it's dead quiet. All I hear is silence. Wonderful, beautiful silence. Once you try my simple 3-step process, I believe you'll finally get relief from your tinnitus like I did. You'll get back to your life the way it used to be. And the months or years you spent suffering from tinnitus will become a distant memory. I reveal every step of my simple, straightforward 3-step process in my system called Tinnitus Remedy. Stop the ringing forever. This system contains more details about my personal journey and the specific activities and remedies that worked for me and have worked for thousands of other tinnitus sufferers. For example, while I was trying to get rid of my own tinnitus, I discovered at least 8 different types of drugs that actually make tinnitus worse. And chances are you are taking at least one of these on a regular or semi-regular basis right now. I also discovered 8 homeopathic remedies that could give you much needed relief from tinnitus. I tried all of them and still use 2 of them on a daily basis because they're so effective. And keep in mind, I know what it's like to suffer from tinnitus. I know you don't just want relief, you desperately need it. That's why there's no fluff in my system. It's all boiled down into my 3-step process for finding almost instant and lasting relief from tinnitus. All based on my personal 5-year journey.